I'm Dale Smith for Looney Politics, and we're going to talk about the Baird Report. This week, former Conservative Cabinet Minister John Baird delivered his report on what the failures of the last election were to Andrew Scheer, but they made it clear that this was not going to be made public. That didn't stop people from leaking contents of the report, however, and we learned a few things from what they felt they did wrong. Part of that had to do with the centralization of the campaign. All of the power was concentrated in the campaign director's office, that being Hamish Marshall. For those of you who pay attention to these things, he's the former board member of Rebel Media that kept getting Andrew Scheer into a lot of trouble for that. One of the other associated aspects of that centralization was the fact that Baird's estimation was that a lot of the staffers on the campaign were too inexperienced. And that's not such a big surprise for those of us who followed a lot of the movements in Ottawa, where a lot of the really long-time staffers and campaign workers left with Rona Ambrose, leaving Scheer's office with a lot of the less experienced and far newer staffers. We're also hearing that Baird tagged problems with the platform itself, and given what we've heard on the environmental component of it in particular, that shouldn't be a surprise, even though Conservatives like to insist that they simply didn't communicate their plan properly. We are pretty dubious about that. Nevertheless, this was tagged. Along with Scheer's own particular failures to really explain himself on any of the matters, whether it's around his feelings on same-sex marriage or his own particular biographical issues, whether it was his dual citizenship or his CV and past as a insurance broker, but not really. So that was also highlighted, and it's one of these things that we'll see how much traction that gets in terms of internal discourse with the party. The other interesting thing to note is that some prominent Conservatives have already started demanding that the report should be shared with caucus members and even candidates who failed in the last election, in order for them to feel like they can, take the lessons for their own particular campaigns and that they ran, so that they can, look to identify what needs to be corrected the next time. There is some frustration even among sitting MPs such as Michelle Rempel, who publicly stated that she wants to see what's in the report so that she can evaluate the next campaign based on what failed in this one. And, I would expect that's a fairly common sentiment among the party, and it's also a fairly common sense one. Parties shouldn't be simply the leader's office, dictating top down. Parties should be grassroots, bottom up. And the Conservatives like to call themselves a grassroots party, but both what we've heard in this, the leaks from this report, and this behavior in terms of locking down the report so that it's only in the leader's office, I think kind of puts a bit of, colors that perception just a little bit. For Looney Politics, I'm Dale Smith.